Hello and welcome back to the Deep Dive. If you are new here, this is the place where we take a stack of sources, articles, research papers, or, in today's case, a really fascinating set of behavioral scripts. And we don't just read them, we try to dismantle them. We look for the machinery underneath.
That's right. We're always looking for the why and the how that, usually gets ignored. We take that surface level information and we drill down until we hit bedrock.
And today, we are doing something that sounds, on the surface at least, incredibly mundane. But I'm going to argue it's actually the most critical thing we could possibly talk about.
Oh, I agree.
We're talking about the architecture of the human day.
The daily routine. It sounds so simple, doesn't it? But really, it is the framework of our entire lives.
Exactly. So we have this document here. It's titled Daily Routine Podcast Script.pdf. And it profiles two individuals, a man and a woman named Emily and Paul. And at first glance, it just looks like a simple English learning text. It tracks them from the moment they wake up until they go back to sleep. But when you and I started going through this, we realized it's actually a comparative study of two completely different philosophies of existence.
It really is. I mean, you have the morning person archetype right next to the night owl archetype. And what we want to do today is, it's kind of twofold. First, we want to analyze the psychology behind their choices. Why do they do what they do?
Right, the motivation.
And second, for our listeners who use these deep dives to sharpen their language skills, we want to pull out the specific source code of the English language that allows you to describe your own reality.
I love that phrase, the source code, because describing your day, it's actually harder than it looks, isn't it?
It is.
It requires sequencing, it requires cause and effect, and it needs some emotional nuance.
Absolutely.
And we are going to be very intentional about our pace today. We want this to be clear, accessible, and perfect for anyone who wants to master the vocabulary of daily life.
Yes, we aren't going to rush through this. We are going to savor the details.
So let's introduce our test subjects. We have Emily and we have Paul. Based on the data in this text, give us the psychological profile of Emily first.
Okay, Emily. Emily is what behavioral psychologists might call high conscientiousness. She is your classic type A.
Right.
She is, she's driven by structure. The text explicitly calls her a morning person, but it goes deeper than that. She seems to get her sense of control from order.
She anticipates the day.
Yes. She doesn't just let the day happen to her, she happens to the day.
Right. She's the person who is already 2 hours into her productivity cycle while I'm, still negotiating with my alarm clock.
Right.
She creates the environment she wants to live in.
Exactly. And then, acting as the perfect foil, we have Paul.
Paul, the man, the myth.
The relatable legend.
The relatable legend, yes.
Yeah. Paul is the night owl, but I think just calling him a night owl kind of does him a disservice.
How so?
Well, Paul represents a philosophy of comfort and reaction. He admits to the struggle. He likes to stay up late, which means his morning is always going to be a biological battle.
Always.
He values social connection and, ease over a really rigid structure.
It's so interesting because I think most of us aspire to be an Emily. We're told that successful people wake up early and they make their beds.
Oh, yeah, that's the narrative.
But in reality, a huge portion of us are living as a Paul.
Oh, absolutely. The world is often built for the Emilys of the world, School starts early, corporate work starts early.
Right.
But biologically, something like half the population leans more toward being a Paul. So this document isn't just a story, it's a conflict.
A conflict between biology and society.
Yes. And by studying them, by looking at these two archetypes, we learn the essential vocabulary needed to describe almost anyone's day.
That brings us to the core question of this deep dive then. What makes a normal day? Is a routine defined by the things we have to do, like the obligations, work, commuting?
Or is it defined by the things we choose to do, like yoga or cooking or reading a book?
Yeah, that's the real question.
That is the question. And I think as we track their day chronologically, we're going to see that a routine is a negotiation.
A negotiate.
It's a constant trade-off between obligation and preference. And specifically, we need to look at how they use these things called sequence words to glue all these separate events into, a coherent story.
Okay, let's unpack this. Let's start where every single day starts. The morning rituals, the most violent part of the day, the wake up.
The great divide.
So let's look at the data points. The text says Emily wakes up at 6:30 a.m. That's precise.
And notice the phrasing the source uses. She doesn't just get up. She adopts the identity. She says, I am a morning person.
Oh, that's a key linguistic distinction, isn't it?
Huge.
I wake up early is just an action.
Right.
But I am a morning person is an identity.
Precisely. When you frame it as an identity, you're telling the world and yourself that this is your natural state. 6:30 a.m. isn't a struggle for her, it's her habitat.
She is claiming that time of day as her own.
Yeah, she owns it. Now look at Paul.
Paul, he wakes up at 8 a.m. Now, in the grand scheme of things, 8 a.m. isn't that late.
No, it's pretty standard.
If you work a 9 to 5, that's totally normal. But in this comparison, how does Paul frame it?
He frames it relative to Emily. He calls 6:30 very early.
Right.
And this is just a great lesson in the subjectivity of time modifiers. Early and late are not fixed points on a clock. They're feelings.
Yeah, they're definitely feelings.
To Paul, whose circadian rhythm is shifted back, 6:30 Sparty might as well be the middle of the night.
It highlights that our description of time is always relative to our own energy levels.
Yeah.
But let's look at the wake-up protocol, because it's not just about when your eyes open. It's about what the body does next. And I found Paul's routine to be, well, hilarious, because it is so incredibly honest.
It's very honest.
Walk us through Paul's first 5 minutes.
Okay, so step 1 for Paul, turn off the alarm. Standard.
Well, I'll do that.
Step 2, stay in bed for 5 minutes.
That is the most dangerous game a human being can play.
It is Russian roulette with your employment. But why does he do it? It's the snooze button mentality, right? He's buying himself this little transitional buffer. He's refusing to accept that the sleep state has ended. He's bargaining with reality.
For just 5 more minutes. And then step 3, he finally drags himself vertical.
Right.
He goes to the kitchen and drinks a big glass of water.
This is fascinating to me. The text says he does this specifically to help him wake up.
Right, to help him.
Which suggests a functional, almost mechanical view of his own body. He knows his engine is cold. He knows he's groggy. He isn't waking up with a song in his heart.
No.
He is using hydration as a tool to jumpstart his physiology.
It's so distinct from pleasure, isn't it? He's not like sipping cappuccino on a balcony, enjoying the sunrise.
Not at all.
He's chugging water to survive. It's like a medical intervention at 8:05 a.m.
Exactly. It's pure maintenance. Now, pivot to Emily. What is her first move?
Her first move, step 1, make the bed.
Boom. Immediate environmental control.
And she even gives the reason. She says she likes her room to look clean.
Think about the psychology there. Paul focuses inward. I need water. I need to wake up.
Right. Me.
Emily focuses outward. The room needs to be ordered.
Yeah.
There's that famous speech by Admiral McRaven about making your bed.
I know that one.
If you make your bed, you've accomplished the first task of the day. It gives you a small sense of pride. So Emily is starting her day with a victory. Paul is starting his day with a negotiation.
That is a brutal but very accurate summary. And then after that, she goes to the bathroom, brushes her teeth, washes her face. It's very hygienic. It's the clean slate approach.
Right. She's literally scrubbing off the fleas. She's presenting herself to the day.
Okay, so before we move to the kitchen, I want to pause on the language here, because we promised to give the listeners the tools to describe their day. And the source material highlights some very specific sequence words here. First, then after that.
This is so vital. If you're trying to explain a complex system, and a human life is a complex system, you cannot just list facts. You can't just say, I wake up, I drink water, I leave.
It sounds robotic. It sounds like a police report.
It lacks flow, it lacks humanity, it lacks narrative glue. These words, first, then, after that, they're the bridges.
Right.
First, I turn off the alarm. Then, I stay in bed for 5 minutes. After that, I drink water. Suddenly, you have a story.
Real narrative.
You have a beginning, a middle, and a progression.
It implies a logic. That one thing leads to another. It really is the secret code to sounding fluent.
Exactly. Even if your routine is, totally chaotic, using these words makes you sound organized. It's a bit of a hack.
Okay, so they're awake. Paul is hydrated. Emily is organized. Now we need calories. We are moving into part 2, fueling the engine. Breakfast choices.
The breakfast philosophy.
Emily drops a cliche that we've all heard a million times. Breakfast is the most important meal of the day. Does she actually believe that?
Well, her behavior suggests she does. She isn't just saying it, she's living it. She is cooking.
Right.
She is making eggs and toast.
That requires equipment. That requires a pan, a stove, a toaster, maybe butter, salt, pepper. I mean, that is a production.
It is a production, and it speaks to her main resource, time. Because she woke up at 6:30, she has purchased the time to cook.
That's a good way to put it.
She isn't rushing. She's investing, 20 minutes in nutrition? This is the luxury of the early riser.
And caffeine? Is there caffeine?
Oh, it's essential. She loves coffee. She uses the emotional verb love.
Okay. Now, let's look at Paul. Paul agrees on the coffee.
That's the universal constant. Morning person, night owl, it doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
We are all addicted to the bean. It's the fuel of the modern workforce.
It really is. But his food, the source says cereal or fruit.
Cold, fast, 0 cooking required.
And his reasoning is explicit. Quick and easy.
And there it is. There's the trade-off. Paul slept until 8 Marone. He spent his time in bed.
Right.
So now he's in debt. Time debt. He cannot afford to cook eggs. He has to grab the box of cereal. His routine dictates his diet.
I think that's a really important insight for anyone trying to change their habits. If you want to eat a better breakfast, you don't necessarily need a better frying pan.
No.
You need an earlier alarm clock.
100%. The morning is a cascade. The first domino, the wake-up time, it knocks down all the rest. If that first domino falls late, the breakfast domino has to be quick and easy.
It's so interesting to see how these lifestyle labels, morning person versus night owl, actually trickle down into these tiny little details, like whether you eat hot eggs or cold cereal.
Everything is connected.
So, they are fed, they are caffeinated. Now comes the part of the day that most adults dread, but, we all have to do it. The commute.
Commute.
Getting to work.
The transition zone.
So Emily drives her car. She is in the driver's seat, literally. We don't get a lot of detail on her in-car entertainment, but, knowing Emily is probably something productive or maybe just quiet focus on the road.
Probably. But Paul takes the bus.
Public transportation.
Yeah.
A shared space. And he mentions it takes about 20 minutes.
20 minutes. That's a very manageable commute. But what I find really interesting is how they utilize that time.
Right.
Emily drives, so presumably she has to focus on the road. But Paul gives us a great insight into how to use dead time.
Yes. This is a key habit within a habit. Paul says he listens to music or an English podcast.
Like this one, hopefully.
Ideally, yes.
Yeah.
But think about what that means. He's on a bus, surrounded by strangers. Maybe it's noisy, maybe it's crowded. But he is turning that commute into either a relaxation period with music or a productive learning period with a podcast.
It's multitasking in the best way. His body is physically moving to work, but his mind is doing something else entirely. It transforms the commute from a chore into an opportunity.
We often call this net time, no extra time.
Exactly.
You're learning without having to carve out extra hours in your day.
And for a learner, this is a golden nugget of advice. If you have a 20-minute bus ride, that's 20 minutes of study time built right into your day. You don't have to find time. The bus ride is the time.
So they get to work. Emily arrives at 8:30 a.m., and she mentions her arrival routine. She says hello to her coworkers, and then she starts her tasks.
Right.
I like that she says hello to coworkers. Yeah. Why do you think that's worth mentioning in a script about a routine?
Because work isn't just about the tasks on your computer. We aren't robots on an assembly line. We're social animals.
Right.
The hello is part of the morning ritual just as much as the coffee is. It signals that transition. I am here. I am present. I am part of the team.
It signals the start of the professional day.
Yeah.
Okay, so the morning is done. They are in the thick of it now. But even in the middle of the workday, there is a sacred pause.
There is.
Part 4, the midday pause.
Yeah.
Lunch culture.
12:30 p.m., the universal signal for food.
Now, this is where I think we see a real personality difference emerge. We saw it a bit with the bed making versus the water drinking, but here it's very, very stark.
Very stark.
Let's look at Emily first. What is her lunch vibe?
Emily is what I would call the solitary nature lover in this context. First of all, she brings a sandwich from home.
Preparation again.
Always preparation.
Yeah.
And economy. She probably made that sandwich in the morning during that extra time she has.
And where does she eat it?
She says she eats in the park if the weather is nice.
That sounds lovely, actually.
It does. But notice what it implies. She values fresh air. She values leaving the building. And crucially, she seems to be okay with, or maybe even prefers, eating alone in a peaceful environment.
She wants to reset.
She wants to reset her brain with nature. She's decompressing through silence.
Contrast that with Paul, the socializer.
Paul does not bring lunch. He goes to a small cafe near the office.
And he doesn't go alone.
No, he eats with friends.
And what's the activity? It's not just eating. The script says they talk and laugh.
Talk and laugh. For Paul, the lunch break is a social recharge. He needs connection.
Right.
He releases stress by verbalizing it, by joking, by being part of a group. He needs to separate from the office environment, not by going into nature, but by going into a social space.
It's a really important distinction. For Emily, Recharging means silence and green space. For Paul, recharging means conversation and laughter.
And both are valid.
Totally valid, but they result in very different daily experiences.
And different vocabularies, too. Emily uses words related to location and condition, park, weather. Paul uses words related to interaction, friends, cafe, talk.
It's so crucial to know which one you are.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're an Emily, forcing yourself to go to the loud cafe every day to be social, you're going to burn out.
For sure. And if you're a Paul sitting alone in a park every day, you might just feel lonely.
Exactly. Knowing your recharge style is part of mastering your own routine.
Absolutely.
So they've had their break, they go back to the grind, and eventually the workday ends. Emily finishes at 5 p.m., Paul finishes a little later at 5:30 p.m. Now we enter part 5, the evening shift.
Or as I like to call it, the decompression.
The decompression. I like that. Paul mentioned something right away that I think every single listener will resonate with. He says when he gets home, he is very tired.
So honest.
Very honest. But his immediate action, his first move upon entering his home, is fascinating to me. It's what you call the relaxation uniform.
Yes. He changes his clothes. He puts on comfortable pajamas.
Why is this so significant? It seems like such a small thing.
It's a psychological boundary line.
Yeah.
By taking off his work clothes, which represent the bus, the office, the obligations, and putting on pajamas, he is signaling to his brain, the workday is over.
You are safe now.
You are safe now. You are home.
It's a ritual.
Yeah.
Just like Emily making the bed in the morning opens the day, Paul putting on pajamas closes the workday. It's the shutting of the door.
Exactly. And interestingly, despite being very tired, Paul then goes on to do something that requires a lot of effort.
Right.
He cooks dinner.
And he explicitly states he loves to cook.
He does, and Emily even compliments his skills in the dialogue. She says he makes great pasta.
So even though he's tired, he cooks. This goes right back to our question about obligation versus choice.
It does.
Cooking, for Paul, seems to be a choice that brings him joy, unlike the next part of his evening.
The unavoidable chores.
The enemy of relaxation.
Paul has to wash the dishes, and he's very clear about his feelings here. He says, I don't like it.
But he adds, it's part of the routine.
And that is such a mature realization. A routine isn't just doing what you want to do. It's doing what you have to do to maintain your life.
Right.
He cooks, which he likes, so he must wash dishes, which he hates. That's the balance of the evening.
And he also takes out the trash. Just getting the basics done. Now, what about Emily? Her evening looks a bit different. She's not talking about pajamas and pasta right away.
No, Emily keeps the activity level high. She exercises in the evening. She mentions going for a walk or doing some yoga.
And her reasoning?
She says it helps her feel relaxed. She describes yoga specifically as peaceful.
See, this is so interesting. For Paul, relaxation is pajamas and food. It's passive comfort. For Emily, relaxation is movement and mindfulness. She is actively processing the day's tension through her body.
It fits her morning person profile perfectly, doesn't it? She seems to have a more disciplined approach to managing her energy. She uses energy to generate relaxation.
That's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
Now, what about media, the screens? We all look at screens in the evening. It's unavoidable.
It is. Emily says she sometimes watches the news or a funny show, but she puts a qualifier on it.
Of course she does.
She prefers to read a book.
Classic Emily.
Classic Emily. The intellectual engagement. Reading requires effort. Watching TV is passive. She chooses the active route again.
And Paul.
Paul, on the other hand, admits to checking his phone.
But he adds a little caveat, doesn't he? He says he tries not to do it for too long.
Which implies he often fails.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh.
When someone says, I try not to look at my phone for too long, it means they definitely get sucked into the scroll.
It's the modern struggle. But again, it's so relatable. Paul represents the average person trying to disconnect but finding it really hard.
So we've moved through the evening, the chores are done, the yoga is done, the pasta is eaten. Before we get to the final sleep cycle, we have to pause and look at the grammar of consistency.
Yes. Part 6, the adverbs of frequency.
The source material actually breaks this down like a data set.
Yeah.
And honestly, for anyone trying to explain their life, these words are just crucial. We're talking about always, usually, sometimes, and never.
These words are like the volume knobs on our habits. They tell you the intensity and the consistency of a behavior.
Let's look at the scale. Always.
Yeah.
100%.
Right.
What is an always in this source material?
Emily always drinks coffee. It is a non-negotiable fact of her existence 100% of the time. If Emily is there, coffee is there.
No exceptions. Okay, then we have usually They define this as around 80%.
Right. Paul usually takes the bus. This implies that maybe on a rare day he gets a ride, or he walks, or he takes a taxi. But 8 out of 10 times, it's the bus. Usually is such a useful word for real life because as humans, we are rarely 100% consistent.
That's so true. Being able to say, I usually do this, takes the pressure off. It allows for exceptions.
Yeah.
And it makes your English sound much more natural and honest.
Then you have sometimes, the 50% mark, hit or miss. Emily sometimes watches TV. She's not committed to it. If it happens, it happens. If not, that's fine too.
And never. 0%.
The things we do not do.
I think mastering these 4 words, always, usually, sometimes never, is what separates a beginner speaker from an intermediate one.
I agree.
A beginner says, I drink coffee. An intermediate speaker says, I usually drink coffee, but I never drink it at night.
Precisely. It adds nuance, it adds texture, it allows you to be honest about the real fabric of your life. We aren't robots. We live in the usually and sometimes zones.
So using these adverbs, let's wrap up the day. Part 7, bedtime and the cycle repeats.
I'll wind down.
Paul goes to bed at 11:30 p.m.
Which fits his night owl persona perfectly. He wakes up later, he sleeps later. His whole day is just shifted back.
And his very last action of the day.
He sets his alarm for the next morning.
The loop.
The loop. Yeah. He is setting up the trigger for the next day's struggle. The tool that started the struggle at 8 a.m. is being primed to do it all over again.
And Emily.
She goes to bed at 10:30 p.m., a full hour earlier than Paul. And she gives us a biological requirement.
Right.
She says she needs 8 hours of sleep to feel good.
And she has done the math. 10:30 p.m. to 6:30 a.m. That is exactly 8 hours.
She is disciplined to the very end. She knows what her body needs to perform, and she schedules her sleep to ensure she gets it.
She doesn't just sleep when she's tired.
No. She sleeps when the schedule dictates she must sleep in order to be effective tomorrow.
That is the fundamental difference, isn't it?
Yeah.
Paul sleeps when he is done. Emily sleeps so she can begin.
That's a beautiful way to put that.
So the alarm is set. The 8 hours are planned. The eyes close. And the cycle prepares to repeat.
From the alarm clock to the pillow.
It's a journey we all take every single day. But seeing it broken down like this, comparing Emily's methodical, nature-loving early rising day to Paul's slightly more chaotic, social, comfort-seeking day,
it
really highlights how much personality goes into a routine.
Absolutely. They both did the same basic things, if you think about it. They woke up, they cleaned themselves, they ate, they went to work, they came home, they relaxed, and they slept. The structure is identical.
It's the universal human algorithm.
It is. But the content, the eggs versus the cereal, the park versus the cafe, the yoga versus the pajamas, that's where the human element comes in.
And that's where the language comes in. Being able to describe those specific differences is the key to sharing who you are.
And that is the big takeaway for our listeners. Describing your routine is one of the best ways to practice English or any language because it is your story. It's the story you know best.
Right. Can you use first, then after that? Can you use usually and sometimes?
Can you explain why you drink the water or why you make the bed?
So I have to ask the listener directly. Are you an Emily or are you a Paul? Do you need the bed made before you can function, or do you need 5 minutes to just, stare at the ceiling and contemplate existence?
And here is a thought to leave you with. We talked about those adverbs of frequency. Usually, sometimes, always.
Right.
If you changed just one of those in your life, if you took something you sometimes do, like exercise or reading, and turned it into an always.
Ooh.
Or if you took something you usually do, like checking your phone at night, and turned it into a never, how much would your daily routine actually change?
That is a provocative thought. One word change could literally change the whole day.
The grammar of our lives. Change the adverb, change the destiny.
I love it. Well, that's all we have time for on this deep dive. We hope you look at your tomorrow a little differently.
And good luck with that alarm clock.
See you next time.
Good.